Hello, hello. So I am here today to chat about the upcoming full moon lunar eclipse that we have. It's going to be at the end of this week on Saturday, the 28th. We have a full moon lunar eclipse in Taurus. And just to give you the kind of nitty gritty details first, the eclipse will peak the peak moment, the peak time is 4:47 p.m. Eastern time in the US. That is our peak moment of the full moon eclipse that is taking place on Saturday. So there's so many things I want to talk about with this eclipse. I'm going to give you some of the astrology. I'm going to channel a little bit. I'm going to probably bring in some somatic experiencing. This is a big eclipse. This is big. This is our last eclipse is going to hit us in Taurus for a couple of decades. We have been working with Taurus Scorpio energy because that's the axis, Taurus Scorpio. They're opposing each other astrologically. So when we work in eclipses, we're working with opposing axes. We've been working with this energy since November of 2021. And so this is common advice, but it's good advice. So you may have already heard this before if you've been tuning into this eclipse. No matter, I want you to take a moment. And I want you to think, where were you in November of 2021? What was happening? 2 years ago, almost. What shifted in your life in November of 2021? What came forward? What did you learn? What pattern did you become aware of? Did you break? Did you start? What part of healing did you start? What was going on? What started for you in November of 2021? That's what we're ending with this eclipse. So that's our invitation, is to end it. And if you have free will, you don't have to end anything, right? If you want to stay in whatever you've been in, even if it's not serving you, you can, right? I mean, there's a reason that we see people who are stuck in the same stories for their entire lifetimes. They take something that happened to them in childhood and it literally is their only story, even, at the end of their life. And that's because you do have the ability to choose not to leave your stories behind, to not say, you know what, enough is enough. I want to learn and grow and heal from this. And so I want to leave that as a truth, as a reality. You do have the choice. You have the free will to say, I don't want to let go of what started in November of 2021, whatever that may be. And you may need to think about this, right? It might be super obvious, but it also might not be obvious. So this is a place to sit down and journal. Think about it. How big was November 2021 for you? For me, it was huge. I know exactly what started, what cycle I connected into in that when these eclipses started, because it literally threw my life upside down. So I know exactly what happened for me. But you may not know exactly what happened for you until you think about it. And a way to get some understanding is go look at your astrology chart. Go look and see, where is Taurus and where is Scorpio in your chart? What do you have going on there? Because that's going to give you a good idea of, what started, what came up, what became clear to you, that may be a theme or themes you've been working on since November of 2021. So that's where I recommend starting with this. Go get yourself clear on what you've been working with since then, if you're not already clear. And I know a lot of people who are in this space and sphere with me, you guys probably are really clear about what's been going on with you since November of 2021. We've probably talked about it. We've been doing work on these things, so you're aware. But if you're not, go look at your chart. Go get a little understanding of what's going on. You can go to astro.com for that. If you don't know, pull up an astrology chart and you're in the mystery school, the womb school, going to take a little bit of time to shift the language there. If you're in the womb school, then there's an astrology course that will show you how to pull a chart. So get clear on what was happening in November 2021. And then we're coming to this eclipse that's happening Saturday, and it is our last eclipse in the Taurus Scorpio axis. The nodes have already moved. The nodes are in Libra and Aries. We've talked about that before in these videos, or Taja has when she was still doing the videos. Like, the nodes have been talked about. There's a lot of, again, if you're in the womb school, all of these videos about the new and full moons and the astrology and everything, you can go back as far as you want in the last year and learn about the astrology we've been moving through. So nodes have already moved, and eclipses generally follow the nodes, the north and south node, which are mathematical points in charts that what they mean is really like where we're headed in this life and what we're walking away from, like what we get to alchemize and release, which is our south node, and our north node is where we're headed, our destiny, destiny energy, as it were. So nodes are already shifted. The north node is in Aries. The north node was in Taurus up until July when it shifted to Aries. So the south node was in Scorpio up until July when it shifted to Libra. But this full moon and eclipse is taking place in Taurus. So where the nodes were from November, they moved into Taurus Scorpio November of 2021. So we're having one last clear out. And again, this is the last eclipse that we'll have in Taurus for about 20 years, because we had to wait for the nodes to come back around. So we've got some time before we're working with this energy again, which means this energy is big energy to work with. Like, this is important. Eclipses are big moments in our lives, or they can be. We can choose to look at them that way. We can choose to look at an eclipse as, there's something big here for me to learn, for me to understand. We can choose to look at eclipses as teachers. We can choose to look at them that way, or we can choose to ignore them. And obviously in this space, we're not ignoring it, because it's a big energetic to look at and work with. So let's talk astrology of this eclipse. Beyond the fact that it's happening in Taurus, couple other important astrology aspects that are happening. We have, I'm going to show you an astrology chart in a second so you can see all of this, but I want to say it, I want to talk through it first. So we have, on the day of the eclipse, Mars is in Scorpio. Mars is our planet of aggression, and like going for it. It's like our planet of like, let's move forward to get things done. There's a masculine energy to Mars. Mars is in Scorpio right now. And on the day of the eclipse, it will oppose Jupiter, which is retrograding in Taurus right now. Jupiter is our planet of expansion, of abundance, of luck. And when it's in retrograde, it's asking us to look internally, like, where's our internal expansion, abundance, luck. So they're going to be opposing each other. So we're going to have this interesting energy of Mars, this planet of aggression, opposing Jupiter, which has been retrograding for a while now, helping us look at, where does our abundance and peace and prosperity come from? Our internal connection to self. And it's going to create oppositions, create tension. So we have this tension happening between Mars and Jupiter. Likely what this can do, if you want to work with it, is we can use this energy to consciously break old, outdated patterns that are keeping us from our full expansion, our full, like, this is who I am, let me step into my full expression of self, like that Jupiter expansion expression. Then the Mars opposing it can help us like break out of those patterns. And Scorpio, Mars is in Scorpio, which is a very deep emotional sign. Mars is in a very deep emotional sign, Scorpio. And so that is going to bring us the energy to look at what's going on, deepen our emotions, deepen our like emotional patterning that we need to break. And then Jupiter's in Taurus, which is this sign of like earthy abundance, material things. And also like our building, like our what's the word for this, like our structures. That's what I'm looking for, our internal and external structures. And so there's, with them opposing, it's like breaking up those structures that don't serve us anymore. So that's, we've got that going on. And then we also have Mercury next to Mars in Scorpio. So how we communicate in this really deep, watery depths of Scorpio. So Mercury in Scorpio is asking us, it's often asking us to like, what are we not expressing? Where are we not expressing or giving our emotions space to be heard? And it's time to do so. And it's because it's next to Mars, it's going to also be opposing Jupiter in Taurus. So this is a time where, because of that opposition, you might get really big like insights or understandings into where you've been holding yourself back or selling yourself short or not living up to your potential, because we have Mercury, this communication, even things you might need to say to people in your lives, that's coming up right here. So those are our big astrological things going on. I do believe there's other stuff going on with like asteroids and such, but I'm not going to go into that. It's not my area enough of expertise to talk about, but I can definitely link resources if you're listening to this video and you're like, where else can I learn more? I mean, Google it, one. If you're in the womb school, send a note in our group. And I will share other resources in our group. So let me show you the actual chart so you can see this. Okay. All right, so this is going to be the chart of the eclipse on Saturday. So you can see the north nodes in Aries, and we have the moon, Jupiter, and I actually, I don't even know what that sign is supposed to be. That looks so weird. In Taurus. So we have these in Taurus on the day of the eclipse, and then opposing, we'll have the sun in Scorpio, and then Mercury and Mars in Scorpio. So you can see how they are directly opposing, right? 11, 10 degrees, and then Jupiter's 11 degrees, right? So these are opposing. So this is, all right, it brought up another image. So this is the astrology of that moment. Saturn, we have Saturn that just went direct a couple weeks ago in Pisces. So it's at 0 degrees Pisces right now, getting ready to start moving forward again. And yeah, I mean, that's really what's important here at this moment in these in this chart. I just wanted to show you so you can see how Jupiter, Mars, and Mercury are opposing each other here. And then the sun and the moon are opposing, right? 5 degrees, you can see that. And that's, I mean, that's normal. That's what happens in a full moon. But that's our astrology. So that's what's going on astrologically. And again, if you need to go look at your chart to understand what this is happening for you, I highly recommend doing so. If you are in the womb school and you want me to look at your chart, let me know. I'm happy to pull it and let you know what I see. And this is the full moon videos I do share with the community at large, whether you're in womb school or not. So that's why I'm referencing for the womb school, anyone who's there. If you want any extra resources or help, you can reach out. If you want those resources to help and you're not in womb school, go ahead and join us. I'm going to talk about it at the end. But I just want to say that's why I'm referencing that, because these videos are created for that community. I just share the full moon ones with everybody so you can get a taste of what we're connecting in with in the membership. Okay, so to me, I'm going to share some of my own personal like feelings, and I'll channel a little bit in a few minutes about this eclipse and this full moon. To me, this is really potent energy. We had a solar eclipse on October 14th, so almost 2 weeks ago, and that one was in Libra, so where the South Node is currently stationed, and it was really big. It was really big. As eclipses always are, but this last one in Taurus, I'm expecting to be honestly even more intense for a lot of us, because it is an invitation to close such big patterns that have come up for the last 2 years. And I mean, Taurus is about our stability and our structure in our life. And a lot of us, this has been a really big theme in my work for the last 2 years. A lot of us have been working on finding our new sense of purpose and structure in our lives for the last couple of years. We've been really working on figuring out, like, who am I? Where do I want to be? Who do I want to be? How do I want to show up in the world? I mean, I've had so many clients and groups and mentorships and all of these things that I've done in the last couple of years, where that's been one of the big questions is, who am I, and what am I supposed to do on earth, and why am I here? And we've been grappling with this question of identity and structure, and that's very Taurian, like the structure part especially, and I'd say the Scorpio part, of this Taurus Scorpio axis that we were on for so long, that we're closing out this weekend, is that like identity, like, who am I? What is my depth? Who am I when I go into that depth of myself? Who is there? So we've been in this like collective theme of figuring out how to build structure in our Taurus parts of our chart, whatever house that hits you in. And it's also been a time of like a lot of the old structure crumbling. I mean, it could be literally like old businesses crumbling. It could be relationships crumbling. It could be like so many things. A lot of, again, in my world, who I've been working with, what I've been seeing, and also of course my own experience, has been structures of almost everything collapsing in the last couple of years. I mean, I feel like personally, I have crumbled and rebuilt who I am as a person, and then who my business is as the entity of the work I offer into the world, like the energy of what I offer, that has crumbled and been rebuilt so many times. And Taurus is in my 9th house, which is the house of like learning and teaching and spiritual expression and philosophy. So like literally so much of what I do. So of course that's happened, but it's interesting because I've noticed that that's just been a theme for most of the people I've worked with or talked to. In this time, is these old structures crumbling, like these old things crumbling away because they just don't work anymore. And Taurus also rules the 2nd house of astrology. So even if Taurus isn't in your 2nd house, we like Taurus's place in the zodiac, in the circle of astrology, is in the 2nd house. So everyone's 2nd house has a Taurus undercurrent to it. Even if you have like Scorpio in your 2nd house, you still have a Taurus undercurrent because Taurus rules the 2nd house. Again, if you want to understand more about astrology, if you like don't know all this stuff and you're in womb school, go to our astrology course. If you're not in womb school, join and go to the astrology course. All of this is talked about so you can understand the structure of astrology when I say Taurus rules the 2nd house. But anyway, Taurus rules the 2nd house. So 2nd house is literally our structure, our material possessions, our finances. So we've also been having collectively this big shift around how we make money, or how we take care of our money, or how we take care of our homes, our structures, our financial structures, how we, maybe you've been investing in the last couple of years. Maybe you've noticed that you've actually like lost a lot of your financial structures and you've been rebuilding them. So we have this like 2nd house aspect of Taurus, and then wherever it hits your chart, we have these big structures that have been crumbling. And this is our last crumble, this eclipse. Crumble doesn't have to be a bad thing. Like, it doesn't have to be a scary thing. Like, oh no, it's crumbling again. Like, that's not a bad thing. Crumbling is good, because an eclipse, the kind of crumbling an eclipse brings, is the kind of crumbling we needed. It's the kind of crumbling that has needed to happen, and it's happening at an eclipse because it didn't happen beforehand, because maybe you weren't ready for it, or maybe you resisted it. But if you're open to it, you're ready to shift things, this is a big crumble moment. Our last big crumble in Taurus, releasing the structures that don't work for you, releasing the structures that are not helping you build who you want to be. Whether that's in your life, your romances, your friendships, if you have a business, in your business, in your career, whatever it is, right? This is a last big crumble of all of those old ways of being, that those structures of being that don't support who you're becoming. That's what eclipses do, is they help us let go of things that don't support who we're becoming. And in this case, Taurus eclipse is very much about releasing the structures that don't support who we're becoming or who we are. Because at this point, we've had a big becoming, a lot of us collectively, from this Taurus Scorpio axis. It's definitely one of the most intense ones I have been aware of and paying attention to. I haven't been paying attention to eclipses my whole life. But since I started paying attention to the cycles of eclipses, so 4-ish years. So in the grand scheme of things, not a huge amount of time, maybe 5 years, I can't remember. This is one of the most intense ones, but also even just thinking back to other eclipse seasons I've moved through, this was a big one. Taurus Scorpio was a big one. And I have found that to be true for a lot of people that I've worked with. And that might be true for you. Listening to this, that might be true for you. So we have one last big crumbling happening here, and the invitation is to let it crumble, because what comes on the other side of a crumble is the best thing. It's like the Tower card in tarot. Even if you don't read tarot, everyone knows the Tower card means. It means something it's done. It's crumbling down. It's going to become ruined, essentially. But the Tower card in tarot, when that comes through, it means something big is shifting, but something good is usually coming after it, right? There is relief in the shift. We want the Tower moment sometimes to let go of the things that are old, that we're done with. So to me, this is a good thing. This is a good thing. It might be intense, but it's a good thing. So you may notice in the next few days leading up to this eclipse and full moons can keep us from sleeping. So if you notice you have trouble sleeping, I have had some conversations with people who've been having a lot of trouble sleeping. Totally normal, unfortunate, yes, but it is an eclipse and it is a full moon. So it can be really hard sometimes to sleep in that energy. You might notice body stuff going on. I've had like some stomach stuff going on for the last couple of days in the lead up to this eclipse. You might have just extra tiredness, whether or not you're sleeping. Your body's going to feel this. And the invitation is to sit into what is coming up, because what's coming up is what's ready to be released. So I'm going to actually invite us into a somatic practice in a minute. But beforehand, I do want to just call in the Akashic field and ask if there's anything from the records. The Akashic records are the library of our soul, right? Our soul knowledge, our soul record is the Akashic record. Everything we know, everything collectively that we know, stored in the records. So I'm going to call in the records and just ask if there's anything to channel through. So I'm just going to set the space, holding open safe space for this, calling on the elements to hold safe space for this Akashic work, for whatever needs to come through, calling in the guides of the records, the kind, loving guides for our highest good, inviting them through. Thank you. Inviting the records down to us. And you don't need to do anything. I'm just going to open the records myself. I'm not going to bring the whole group, anyone who's watching, into the records. I'm just going to open them. That's going to be granted access to the records for this collective, the book of life for this collective. Thank you. Looking for all information and knowledge that we need to have for this collective. Thank you. Okay, the records are open. Oof, I'm seeing some visuals. Like I'm seeing a visual of like a field burning down, like crops burning, which is kind of intense. Okay, it's a metaphor for our inner landscape. Where do you have literally the metaphor is, where do you have corn stalks that are growing so high in your inner landscape that you cannot see over them to the truth that is in the next field over? Where do you have belief structures so high up in your field, in your psyche, in your body, that you can't see over structures, the potentially fallacies, the old ways of being, et cetera, that you've created? You can't even see over them to the other side because they're built up so high. Where is that in your body? How much of you is holding on to that? Just noticing, not judging, not trying to change it, just noticing. Inviting the body to start to show you. You might start to feel it. Your stomach might start to gurgle. Your back might start to hurt. You might need to start moving. Just let yourself see. Where are you holding on so tightly to structures of the past that they're literally blocking you from seeing the future, the present? Where are you holding so tightly to structures of the past that you're not able to open your eyes and see what's happening right now in the world? And in the world is just a reflection of the microcosm of you. You are part of everything that's happening. Can you open yourself, open your eyes to see it? Okay. So I want you to place a hand on your body somewhere, maybe your stomach. And I want you to allow yourself to feel, to call forward and to feel, what is it that you are hiding behind in your body? Nice to move like I am. What is it you're hiding behind? Can you invite it forward to show itself to you? Maybe it's been opinions or views about yourself or your family or your work or your relationship or something else. What is your body feeling that it needs to let go of? It needs you to let yourself feel it, let yourself hear it, so you can let go of it. And you don't have to worry about letting go of it right now. Just let yourself feel it. What's going on here? And can you invite yourself just to look over the structure you've built that needs to crumble? See what's on the other side. You don't even have to have a knowing. You don't have to have a visual. Nothing has to come through from this. It's just an energetic invitation to stretch above the limitations, the old structures, right? That old Taurus energy, and see beyond it. Just inviting your body to let go of the old structure as you stretch beyond it. So that might mean that you are kind of moving your body like I am, like you can kind of see me doing. It might mean that you take in some deep breaths and you do some big, like, sighs out. It might mean that you get up and you dance around, you kick a pillow, you scream or moan or make noise and allow your body to express. Even if all of this feels a little weird and you're like, oh, I don't know if any of this calls, just do something. If you're not getting a like body intuition to, make noise or dance around, then just choose what feels best. Maybe it's just undulating your spine. Oh, Maybe it's shaking your body a little bit. Shaking helps reset our nervous system. Maybe you actually use one hand and you pretend that you're cutting down that cornfield that's keeping you from seeing where you're headed, from seeing beyond the limitations of whatever structure has been in your way that needs to break down with this eclipse. Another message that's coming through is that humanity is on the brink of a big change, which means you're on the brink of a big change. When the human race goes through big shifts, collectively, we go through them internally too. And if we embrace our big changes internally, that gives us space to hold the space for the collective shifts to be easier, to be gentler, to hopefully be more loving than what we're seeing happen in the world. Oh, okay. You probably are going to need to connect back in with what your body is holding. Our structures that we hold, be them mental or physical or emotional, they are held in our body. So you're probably going to need to check back in with those structures a few times leading up to the eclipse and on the day of the eclipse, especially if you have structures you know you're ready to let go of. Check in with them a few times, give them space to move a few times. It's not going to happen just once. That's really important to know. Okay. And take a second. Just breathe. Okay. I'm gonna ask the records to close. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Not a lot of messages that need to come through today. This is not a time for messages or heady information. Really, this is a time to sink into what our body is telling us, because this is a time to let go of things. Eclipses are times of letting go. And so it's not so much about what else we need to know, it's about what do I let go of? And the answer to that is going to be in our bodies and our physical more than it's going to be in an etheric space. That's a truth I found with this kind of work. When we're in eclipse seasons, it is ground in and what is happening here and here and here and all over your body, what's happening. Okay. Okay, so with this eclipse, I actually don't recommend journaling a lot with this eclipse. I recommend experiential feeling. If you are in the womb school, there are past somatic exercises that have been done, that have been recorded, that are in the resources section. Go do a couple of those. Go back through those practices. They're not long and they are releases. Get into your body. Be outside, feet on the ground, breathe into what's here, what's being held. You need a little bit of mind and logic to feel into what's the pattern that's ready to break. But the breaking isn't going to happen from thinking about it. It's going to happen from letting yourself feel it and experience it and move it out of your body. That's why thinking our way through things isn't enough, right? We have to bring movement into it. So this is a time of really being grounded and letting what comes up come up, and then inviting what comes up to move out and release. Okay. So it's going to be a big one, and it's the last one. So we are done with this energy after Saturday. We are done. We don't have to work with it for a long time. So we get to integrate our lessons. Sunday's probably a good day for a lot of rest, big day of rest. So let yourself move through this energy for the last few days we have in it, and be open to receiving the shifts that are going to happen from moving through this. Okay. Before I close this, I do want to speak for a couple of minutes to the Womb Awakening School, because this video is created for that. This is the evolution of what used to be the Mystery School. It is now the Womb Awakening School. It is a 12-month womb membership. It is womb shamanic work, womb shamanic wisdom and initiations that are going to be shared with you in this 12-month portal to open you to the fullest expression of your womb space, of your womb power, of your divine feminine and your divine masculine, because the womb needs both feminine and masculine. It's a very feminine space, but we have to be connected to our masculine for that space to open. There is an enormous amount of information in this course. And that's why it's 12 months, so that you have time to actually go through it all, because it's way too much information, honestly, to go through in less than that. So it's not something that you have to feel rushed to get through, because you have plenty of time. There's also live and group components to this. I will be leading live calls at least twice a month within this container, sometimes more, depending on what's happening in that month. There's a group connection. There's a group space to connect in with the group and share your story, share what comes through, share what you want to. Along this journey, you have support, you have all the information and practices you need to open to your womb. This womb school, Womb Awakening School, is a product of years of womb work on my end, years of understanding, experiencing, embodying, experiential learning. This is a true artistic creation of expression from my womb space into the world. Womb shamanic work is not very common. There's a lot of womb priestess work, which is a whole other thing from womb shamanic work. But there's not a lot of womb shamanic work. Womb shamanic work is understanding the mysteries of the womb from our own bodies, and from the shamanic understanding, the shamanic perspective of the earth, the sun, the stars, everything that's within us that makes us who we are. And the study and experiencing and journeying of shamanic understanding, specifically shamanic understanding of the womb. That's what this is all about, is learning what your womb, who she is, what she holds, what's present in your womb, from a place of understanding how your womb is part of the greater cosmos of all, the greater connection of all, the earth herself, and the greater connection of the entire cosmos, multiverse, galaxies, everything. That sounds really huge when I say it that way. And it is. And it's also very grounded. This is really grounded work. It is not just spiritual. There's also physical somatic aspects to this work, because you have to work with your womb physically in order to heal and awaken her spiritually. Both are important. We can't just do the physical and not do the spiritual. We need both. And so both aspects are addressed in this container. This is an act. Joining the school, going on a womb journey, as an act of authenticity. Our greatest authenticity is going to come from that womb space, because it is our greatest source of power. And the fact that we have that kind of power and expression in our bodies is incredible. And so in order to open to the deepest aspects of who we are and why we're here, those questions that have been really prevalent in the last couple of years collectively, those answers come from the womb. It's also the place of our greatest wounding for many of us, whether personally or ancestrally or collectively. And so reclaiming the womb space, this is such a strong message I've been channeling for a long time and receiving as I've been putting this work together over years. Womb work is the work that is going to heal the world. I'm sure there's other work that will too. You know, it's not just the womb. I don't want to put that level of like, this is the only thing on one thing, but womb work is a massive way of how we heal the world. Because if we heal the understanding and the connection and the energy of our womb spaces, that has a ripple effect to the entire collective, the entire world, the entire energetic field we live within. Because we all have a connection to the womb, whether you have a womb or you're just born from a womb, like just born. We were all born from a womb, right? We all have a connection to the womb. This is literally the work of understanding who we are at our deepest core, understanding life and why we are here, understanding literally why we live, why we have life, why we exist. That is womb work. That's what womb work is about, is understanding that stuff, understanding those questions, those mysteries. So I invite you to join me in the womb work to understand the awakening of the mysteries of yourself, because that's the most important work you could ever do. I have done so many programs. I have read so many books. I have learned so many different things in many, many different modalities for years and years and years and years and years. And the womb, everything has always come back to the womb for me. And frankly, in all of the work I do with others as well. The womb is the core of everything. If you understand the womb, everything else starts to unfold, because it's a mystery, right? We're working with the mysteries of the womb. That's why it's womb awakening. We're awakening the mysteries of the womb. And when those mysteries awaken, so much unfolds, everything unfolds. Whatever that looks like for you, it's going to be different for all of us, but the unfolding is part of the awakening. So I invite you to join me. We have our first live call on November 1st. And the price is increasing incrementally every couple of days. So go ahead, and I encourage you to join as soon as you are ready to, at whatever price point feels right for you, depending on if you join sooner rather than later. Whatever day you decide to join, the price on that day is the price of that day. So if you're feeling like you want to join, there's going to be information linked with this video. And I recommend that you connect in with it pretty quickly, so that you can get the lowest price possible, if that is important to you. If you want to get the lowest price you can. It will increase a couple more times before I don't increase it anymore. So when this video is being released, right now it is an investment of $333 a month, or there's a pay in full option that gives you a several $100 discount as well. And that's true for the increases as the price continues to rise. Depending on when you see this, the price might be different at that point if you don't watch this video immediately. I invite you to join me on this. This is not going to be rolling admission. I will close admission a little bit into November, but I invite you and encourage you to join me before November 1st call, so that you can be part of the potency of fully opening the school and the container for everyone who joins. This is a group membership work. This is like, if you've been around in my sphere for a long time, I used to do a program called Heal, which was a group program, and we met for calls several times a month to do work together. And that's what this is like. This is like Heal, but much bigger, much more powerful, and way more potent, because my work has become more potent because I've grown so much, and it's womb focused, which Heal started to transition into the womb focus by the time I closed the program and started shifting into something else. And this is really its biggest iteration. Come heal that energy coming back into womb school, because our womb is where our healing starts. Our womb is where our healing starts and ends. And we spiral out into all the other parts of our life just from the womb. All right, I will have information for you about joining again in the description of this video. Thank you for joining me to learn about this eclipse. I hope that this eclipse brings you exactly what you need, whatever that is. Knowing the astrology of it is helpful. Don't let it bring in fear. Even though I said this is a big eclipse, I don't want you to live in fear of this eclipse. It's just big energy, but that doesn't mean it's a bad thing. So allow yourself to feel what's coming up. Invite your body to release and move through it. And allow yourself to release. That's really the best thing you can do with an eclipse. You don't have to do a lot. You don't need to sit down and journal a crazy amount or do all these other things to make things happen. Your intention to work with the eclipse and to release is what you need. And that's really the best thing I can leave you with to wrap this all up. All right, thank you for joining me. I will see you in the womb school for our new moon video in a couple weeks. And as always, full moon videos will be shared with the community as a whole for as long as that feels right to do so. All right, have a lovely, lovely rest of your day whenever you finish watching this. And I'm sending you a lot of blessings for this eclipse.